Are the 11th Street kids in a Nazi universe? Because the one thing we all noticed, especially here on this channel, is there was only white people in that universe. Stick around after the intro and we'll talk about it.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Welcome back, nerdy friends. This is, of course, your favorite nerd podcast, Collard Greens and Nerdy Things. I'm your host, King, and the best co host in the world, JC3. And today we are covering Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 6, Ignorance is Chris. And we have so much to jump into, so we're just going to dive right directly into it. But first, one note. Don't forget that there's spoilers ahead. This is a spoiler podcast and mature audience is advised. And don't forget to always like, comment, subscribe, and share to your friends. If you like what we got going on here, get in the comments and let us know what you're thinking. So let's just jump into our first thoughts. Jay, kick us off. What's your first thoughts on this episode?
Man, my first thoughts on this episode, King, is it was great. This episode is exactly what we needed right now in this season because we've kind of like things have been good, really good with this season, but it's kind of been a slow burn. But this episode kind of just took things to another level, man, because all of our characters are finally getting into some like exciting stuff, some bad stuff, but some exciting stuff nonetheless. We're still getting the story with Peacemaker, right now, getting used to his best dimension ever, which we soon find out turns out to be the worst dimension ever, in my opinion. And we also just get good character development from all the 11th Street kids. You know what I mean? We get stuff from Economos, Amelia, Abidayo, even Adrian. All of our characters now are full throttle and on a mission, trying to get our boy back. And what they find out is crazy. We speculated this. Turns out we were correct. But boy, the reveals in this episode were mind blowing. Even the cameos in this episode are just chef's kiss, I gotta say, man. But I really enjoyed this episode. I think this is the best episode that we've had since, I'd like to say, episode 3, when we were first introduced to the best dimension ever. And I'm satisfied, man. What'd you think?
I've got to wholeheartedly agree and just kind of echo some of the things you said. What we had in this episode is all the characters got to move forward, and not only as a group as the 11th Street kids, but individually. Adebayo had her own story. Adrian's got his own story. Economos has got his own story. Everybody's kind of getting this conclusion, or at least an apex to their own story arcs while they're in universe two. The whole group decided to jump into the second universe to go find Chris and save him from a world that he believes is the greatest universe ever. But as me and you have said on this podcast repeatedly so far through this season, the grass is not always greener on the other side. And though things might seem amazing, that might be only on the surface, which Chris learned in this episode. So I think the story got moved forward a lot. It had a lot of cameos, a lot of big moments, a lot of moments, crazy moments that we'll discuss going forward. But I agree, this is probably the best episode since episode 3. And it's probably the one episode that has done the most to push our overall story forward, which you and I continuously love when we can kind of get some real heavy storytelling out of that. So I think the next question I have is, what is your favorite reveal that we had? Since we've had a lot of reveals in this episode, what was one of your favorites? Or even if you want to, a couple of them.
Oh man. Well, I have to mention the big cameo that we got in this episode, guys. Rick Flag Sr. is a desperate man. He wants Peacemaker's dimensional tech. He's trying anything he can do to get it. And he is willing to go to some pretty bad lengths to get it done, and even make a deal with the devil, so to speak, because he decides to go to Belle Reef Prison, where he meets up with none other than Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Yes, from the Superman movie. Not only does he meet with Lex, but he makes a deal with Lex, and now Argus is now in league with Lex Luthor. This reveal would just got me so excited, just because this is exactly what I want from our youth from this universe right now. Already we're having things connect, and Lex Luthor is like one of like the biggest like parts of that Superman movie. And just to see his current state right now, he's upset, he's mad, he's got people screwing in the next cell over, he can't get no sleep. You know, he's limping. Got cane. I wonder where that's from. You know, appreciate you, crypto. And I kind of wonder. You know, I kind of wonder if that injury, if he's permanently injured, or if that might play into the next Superman movie going forward. Maybe he might get his tech, his armor tech that he usually uses to battle Superman. I think that'd be pretty cool. But just little things like that, like being able to see how that fight affected him, and not even fight beat down, but just to see the aftermath of that and get validation that yeah, that Superman movie was great, but just to have that connect with a show like Peacemaker, a show completely different from the vibes of Superman, absolutely amazing. I would have to say another big reveal for me, the reveal with Adrian Chase when he meets his doppelganger, his vigilante. And oh, who would have thought these guys get along great? They love each other. But then you come to find out that the main difference between them, where our vigilante loves Peacemaker, this vigilante hates Peacemaker. So much so that he joined the Sons of Liberty, the same group that we saw in episode 3 that were trying to blow up like a bank, I believe. And it just seeing that perspective, you kind of get to like you get to the point where you're like, oh, like did our guys do the right thing, or did we do the wrong thing? Like I really appreciated that reveal. But those are two big ones for me, man. What about you?
I just kind of want to piggyback on something you had said there. You missed one big important piece that was different between Vigilante in our world and Vigilante in the other world. And that is in the second world, his dad's not gay. I love that throwaway line that they have in that story. It is just played for laughs. The whole scene with Adrian going through his own house and seeing all the stuff that he has and realizing what's different between his universe and his doppelganger's universe. One of the best scenes. Hilarious. Of course, we get the Spider-Man meme. We get acknowledgement of the Spider-Man meme, which means confirmation that the Marvel universe is either a comic book or movie or television series within inside the DC universe, like vice versa is for Marvel inside DC is a comic book inside the Marvel universe. So really cool little Easter eggs and had some fun. You mentioned the Nicholas Holt part. Loved seeing Lex Luthor coming back. The dynamic between him and Rick Flag Sr. Totally different situation, right? The last time they saw each other, they were more on equal footing than they are now. But yet, Rick Flag Sr. still has to come to Lex to ask him for something. And he's going to have to use the US government to do it. And you had mentioned the suit, and that was on the thing that James Gunn posted for Man of Tomorrow was Lex wearing his super suit. So there's a good chance
That's
that
right.
in the next film, for whatever reason, he's going to have to wear that suit. My favorite reveals, I got two, and the one that pops up in my head first is Johnny Economos gets in a fight with Peacemaker's dad in Earth 2. We'll call it that until I reveal what it is, but we all know what it is. When he had that fight with him, because John Economos is a real big dude, he's still kind of a wussy. He accidentally spills that Peacemaker, our Peacemaker, killed Earth 2's Peacemaker to that Peacemaker's dad. So we have now the realization from Peacemaker's dad that his son is gone, and the guy that they know as Chris is not his child. And we have to see how that's going to play out in the next episode this week, because he ends up telling Peacemaker's older brother that that's not our Peacemaker. That's not our Chris. Something's off. So, what a great
Yep.
reveal. What a great reveal. But let's not bury the lead. The biggest reveal in this show is something that you did mention. We have been talking about this on this channel early on since episode 3, and we 100% got it right. Just want to put that out to the viewers. We were 100% right. This is Earth X. This is a universe where in World War II, Nazi Germany won and they took the United States. That realization starts to come to a head in the storyline when you see Hardcore walking around with Peacemaker and saying to him that she notices that there ain't no black people. And Peacemaker never noticed that. But as he's walking by, that thought makes him look at a flag that's sitting on a desk that has the symbol for the Nazis in our American flag, where usually the stars would be. And then at the same time, our lovely Adebayo, who's walking the wonderful, clean streets of the neighborhood, Chris's brother stops his car, screams that there is a black, and they comically chase Adebayo down the street. And that's what we're left with. We don't know what happens. We don't know if they catch up with her. We don't know if she keeps running, but the entire neighborhood is chasing her right now. And what a crazy reveal that is, that we are indeed on Earth X. And that has a lot of implications, like the comic book storyline Crisis on Earth X. So who knows what's really next? But let me ask you, what was one of your favorite parts of the episode?
I would have to say probably one of my favorite parts of the episode was, I'd say, the conversation between Peacemaker and our Amelia Harcourt. The chemistry between these two, I think, is really, really good. And just how complicated their relationship is. You get why they're not together, but you also get why they kind of like love each other. And it also shows the growth that Peacemaker has shown since the Suicide Squad movie. You know, just from being a guy that was willing to do like kill for peace, you know, do anything for that, and to be this sensitive soul now in a way, at least when he's around Amelia, and to be really vulnerable, not just around her, but around his friends too. You know, he's very close with Adebayo and to an extent Adrian too. You know, but just the connection that he has with the 11th Street kids, it just shows how much he's grown. But their chemistry, anytime they get into a conversation, is pretty good. I like that. Also, love the fact that alternate Harcourt came in, and it looks like our Harcourt's about to get arrested. So I can't wait to see how that goes. Also, a little side note here, just to give a little take it easy on Economos, man. The man got stabbed in the hand, you know, by Peacemaker's daddy. At that point, I can't say that I wouldn't spill some stuff. I'm just saying maybe I wouldn't have said everything that he said, but I would have spilled something. You know, hands are important. But I would say that was probably one of my favorite parts of that, and also the scene you had mentioned with Adebayo running away from all the white people, like it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers all over again. That it didn't throw me off, but just the whole reveal of it, like just seeing that old lady just stare her down and look at her. And it's funny because for a minute I had forgotten that we were speculating this the whole time, and then she's just walking down the street, and I see this old lady staring, and I'm like, oh, that's right, and we're right. Great moment. What about you?
One of my favorite moments is when Adebayo tries to tell Adrian that he was the one crying and he tries to blame it on her. And he was saying that he comforted her, even though we know he was sobbing like a baby. And
Yeah.
some of my favorite moments was realizing that everything got turned on its head, right? You had mentioned this a little earlier as we were talking. That puts us in a different perspective. The people that we thought were heroes are actually Nazi sympathizers or their generals or yes men. So when we saw that bank robbery and we saw Chris as a hero, he was actually stopping people who were trying to stop, fascism in their world. And I love the dichotomy of that, the kind of back and forth. I love that James Gunn could also talk about such a serious issue that we have in their world, but also in our own world, of course, and still play it for laughs. Like we could still have fun with it. Like you said, Adebayo running in that whole scene of everybody just jumping out of their cars or out of their house running, it was kind of slapsticky. It was kind of Three Stooges running, kind of funny. So I enjoyed the way they did this. Took a very serious subject and a very serious topic, but let it in there to be smooth and still get some laughs out of it without having to darken the moment. So those are some of my favorite parts of the episode. I did have one question left, which was, where is Judo Master? We know Judo Master followed Peacemaker directly after Peacemaker went into the folding quantum chamber. Judo Master is presumably either somewhere in the in between or he's somewhere in that world. And I don't know that he would be so welcomed. So, interesting enough, we got to see what happens to Judo Master and what happens in um, this next episode this week. So why don't we jump through with our final thoughts? I'm going to give my final thoughts, and then, as usual, Jay's going to take us on out. I would rate this show, if I was going to give this episode a rating, which we have done so far, I would definitely give this episode an 8.5. Was a funner episode for me, maybe even a 9. Of course, nothing's perfect, but it was a really fun episode. I think so far it's better than most of them, but it does a lot of things where it still has the comedy, but it still does some of the story heavy lifting by moving the story forward and telling us what we're going to get. We only really have 2 episodes left. So this for me was a great apex episode to let us know what James Gunn has in his mind, and the next 2 episodes will tell us what he has going forward. So tell us, Jay, what are your final thoughts?
As far as giving this episode, rating it, I would give this episode, I'd say 8 out of 10. Like I stated before, this season has been good, just a little bit of a slow burn. But this episode kicked things up, man. We got a movie cameo, not just a TV cameo, y'all. We like this, like we got a big screen cameo from a well-known actor in this Peacemaker TV show. We got that and a reveal that our Chris, his heaven is a Nazi world. Ignorance is Chris indeed. That man needs help. But again, this episode, amazing. Loved it. Very excited for the next 2 that we're gonna get. Uh I would also have a question as well for the audience. Um Rick Flag Sr. Has other intentions with Chris's helmet, and I wonder what that could be. Uh, Possibly, with how this season is about not being able to let things go, or wanting to be in the best version of your life or be reminded of what makes you a better person. Maybe Rick Flag Sr. might is trying to get his son back. Possibly. I think that'd be a good way to tie this season around, but not confirmed. But that's why I'm asking y'all. But again, thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. And as always, keep watching this damn show and stay nerdy, my friends.